to another show. Totally awesome fishing show, New Zealand. Here we are back at the lake. Tench fishing. And I'm fishing in a spot where a match angler was fishing, has been fishing. And tipped me off a few pointers, hook size, bait. This is out in the other. I'm talking about using hooks sort of size 14, 18s and stuff like this, real small sort of stuff. And just using sweet corn. You go online and you type in the favourite baits for tench fishing, and I think sweet corn was at number 5 or something. Cheap bait, easy to get from the supermarket, very cheap, but very effective. When you look at it in the water, it's very buoyant colour. So if you've got murky water, it can be seen. But not only that, when you smell it, it's got a real sort of strong sort of scent to it. So the key is with this sort of fishing is making sure you've got some bait on your hook all the time. Corn's pretty good. It's pretty sort of tough, and you sort of hide the hook up inside it. So every now and again the float is sort of, it moves a little bit and then it sort of arches over. So when it arches over, the swan shot is just sort of catching on the bottom, and that's okay, because that means where your hook is, you've got your I don't know, your 10 inches of hook length or whatever you got there, that's sitting on the bottom. So your tench are a bottom feeder. They're not going to come up and grab your bait halfway through. So you can get caught out with float fishing, and when you're not got your depth set correctly. So the most important thing you do throughout your session, you're constantly adjusting your stop knot, because the depth is going to be different from there to over there to in the middle to over there. The depth is always different. So you want to focus just fishing an area and ground baiting an area, and then you want to sort of have a different strategy for a different area. You can buy you can cast out like depth sounders and things like that now, but I never bother. I never bother. You can tell the depth by how your float is behaving. Now this is an Australian float. This is a blackfish float for fishing off breakwalls and things like that. But this is all I've got. It's not ideal. It's catching the wind. It's swaying around. But when it sways and moves around, sometimes you could argue and say that's a fish. But a tench is quite a powerful fish. And what he'll do, the float will sort of, if he's moving off with the float and not get, you know, it will sort of bob up and down and move, and you can tell it's a fish. The minute it's the wind's just swaying it, so don't let that fool you that thinks it's a fish and you need to strike, forget it. So in these conditions, the wind's moving it around a bit, but the only person who can pull the float up and down is a fish, okay? So that's when we strike, when that float does that. It's as simple as that. There's nothing more to it than that, really. So it's just waiting for a proper bite. And when I say strike, it's not, remember this is 8-pound trout leader. This is a size 6/16 hook. So you don't want to just strike like a madman. I'm talking about getting the line tight as quickly as you can and just pulling the rod into the fish. And that's it, and that's your strike, and that should set the hook. And having the drag set ever so light. The reel is feeling really smooth. I brought some CRC spray, oil lubricant, and I sprayed it all inside the components, all in here, blasted out all the sand which was making it chafe, and now that is like a Swiss watch, mate. Swiss watch. Beautiful reel now, beautiful. Abu Garcia, so wrong. I don't make it anymore. This is a 4000, this is an STX 4000. 11 ball bearings. That's an absolute Swiss watch, mate. So we're just waiting for that bite now. This is getting late afternoon. This is not evening. I've come here for an evening session. Now, and fishing an evening, the last couple of hours, for me, is an okay time. During the middle of the day, bright sunshine, no. You want it all nice and dull and cloudy. Now this morning, I was here for a walk around, and they were catching tench up until noon, 1 o'clock. But the skies were almost threatening rain. It's lovely and humid, almost threatening rain, and those are the conditions you want for tench and carp fishing, any sort of freshwater fishing. You want it dull, overcast, sticky, humid. Well, I don't know about sticky, humid, but you certainly want it dull and overcast. Best times for tench, for me, first light till about 9 o'clock in the morning. Those first few hours of the day. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really expecting anything too much from this swim for an hour or so, but we're going to fish it until the light goes anyway. The sun's there, so when that sun gets to like here, and when that sun just starts to go, for me that would be a good time. So this isn't really a tench outfit. This is my spinning gear, but I haven't got any coarse fishing gear over here. I used to have all the gear years ago, but this will do a job. This will catch a tench. It's the business end. It's the hook, what's on the hook, how you presenting it, and you know, your float and all this, that, and the other. So really, this is a makeshift rig, just to sort of get the job done. You know, I fixed my own stop knot on there. I put my own leader. I put my own swan shots on there, little swivels, and we're good to go. The tench fight hard. They're a good scrap. They really are. I mean, they were pole fishing earlier on, and they were just pulling them in. It was quite incredible. But tench, decent tench, up to like 4 or 5 pounds. You really know you got them on. So all your knots want to be absolutely spot on, and your drag wants to be set right. You don't want to set it up too tight, because a decent tench could probably snap your line. So it's quite an interesting fish. You certainly know you got them on. And they love weedy areas. They love weed. There's loads of weed over there. You can tell there's a load of tench in there. And they just grub around in the bottom, eating bits of algae and weed and all sorts, anything they can get themselves on. Apparently winter time they bury themselves in the mud, probably to escape the cold temperatures. So this is a beautiful day, absolute beautiful day. So it's been a while, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to gently, this weed I've just collected, it's the business end, so just to make sure that we were actually fishing properly for that duration, i.e. we had bait on the entire time, the most important aspect. Let's have a look. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, so we were actually fishing. It is. It'll be okay for another 10 minutes or so. This is the float setup. This is the float setup. Blackfish float, large swan shot, I'm not sure what size that is. Another one underneath it. Stop knot higher up, which I've tied on. And then we've got trout leader, another couple of swan shot. Doesn't really matter how you do it, really. It's nice to sort of spread them out evenly, but I haven't been getting any tangles, so it's acceptable. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put on a fresh corn. Put on a fresh corn because we might as well. That's the way I see it. We take off the old one. It's been out there. Oh, 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes. I'm always a great believer in fresh bait. A nice big. Further them out. Now we do. What goes in? Looks like the one I previously used. Get rid of that. side. And just push it in like so. Like, ow. Like so, hook point exposed. There we go. Just lob it out. Lob it out. Lob it out. Come on, Tench. Where are you? Wind blowing. Previous experience years ago, tench fishing. When you've got tench in the area, you get a lot of bubbles come up because they're like rummaging around in the weed, and they displace a lot of the oxygen, and you get lots of little bubbles. So the bubbles just come up over there. So, and with regards to distance, how far I'm casting out, now I'm new to this lake, but because I've already visited this lake today, I've been watching the match anglers. You see, I've been spying, so I know exactly how far out they were fishing, what bait they were using, what size hooks they were using before I even start. You see, so it's knowledge. It's not just turning up and just, you know, sometimes you do have to just, you know, just trial and error until you get it right. But if you can watch anglers who are good, i.e. by having all the gear, or better still turn up when a match is on, you can see where they're fishing, how they're fishing, and how far out. See, I can fish out in the middle of the lake. I could fish, you know, a bit further, close in. They were fishing very close in. It's very deep close in. So, but this is where we're gonna do it. Okay, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn it off because I just want to save my battery in case we do get one. Okay, so I hope that tutorial's been of use to you, and you know, I may sort of ramble on a little bit sometimes, but if you listen, there's little bits of details in there which are absolute key to sort of you know, to being successful. It's easy to make mistakes doing this sort of stuff, and you only do it through sort of years of sort of just constantly sort of chipping away at it. So okay, I'll get back to you if we get one on, and please subscribe to my channel, and look forward to many videos. All right, guys, see ya.